presentation of Fox Sports.
We are the Fourth. We are Corbin.
Fans at Marlins Park have been waiting for Giancarlo Stanton to light that thing up. Ball to left field. That's deep. Back goes Kubel at the wall. He makes the catch. That was his first shot yesterday. The second one. That ball to center field is hit deep. Back goes Parra at the track. It's gone. Marlins, Diamondbacks finish the series today. Marlins Park, ready to finish off this four-game series. The Diamondbacks, the Marlins, and it's been all Diamondbacks so far. On Monday afternoon, it's weather day. Appropriately, it's raining outside. But hey, the roof is closed, the windows are closed, so everybody's happy. Everybody's ready for baseball. Marlin fans are hoping for some offense as they face a youngster making his Major League debut, Patrick Corbin. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. The Diamondbacks all of a sudden have caught a little fire here, and the Marlins are skidding. They've dropped 7 of their last 8. Offense has been non-existent. The Fish are hoping, Tommy, that the 2 at-bats that Mike Stanton, Giancarlo, had yesterday will spark this team and maybe get him and the offense going.
Rich, the Marlins would like to square up a few baseballs this afternoon. On the last day of April, Giancarlo squared up one in the ballgame yesterday. He just missed one earlier, but Giancarlo hitting his first home run of the year. Last year, though, he only had 2 in the month of April, so please don't panic. He ended up with 34. So there's a look at the ballpark that hasn't allowed a lot of home runs, but Rich and I have discussed this at length. The bottom line, the Marlins aren't swinging the bats well enough. If they would swing the bats a little bit better, we think that number would be different.
And they're not swinging the bats well against lefties. Against lefties, the Marlins are facing another one, a young one. The Fish have struggled, just 2-5 against lefty starters. Patrick Corbin makes his Major League debut. Marlins go with Mark Burley in this one.
I have good news, Rich. Good news. Giancarlo hitting .316. One of the few Marlins hitting well against left-handed pitching. But the bottom line, the top of the order has not hit lefties well.
All right, let's head out to center field. Sneak peek out there.
Yes, you were checking on us just to make sure we're paying attention.
Surprise, surprise.
And we were, too, Rich. Maybe one of the guys who can help the Marlins off the bench, spot start, you never know. His defense late in the game is Brian Peterson, and he's among the additions. The Marlins made that move just as we left the air yesterday, just after that. And here it is. What do you make of these moves? Coughlin and Dunn go down to AAA. Dan Jennings, who did well there, and Peterson come up.
Well, the moves were made because of, you see the stats down there. Chris Coughlin, 19 games, only a 118 average. Had been a little bit out of spring training, and a new outfielder, Mike Dunn, struggled mightily so far this year, 9.5 ERA. So you got Brian Peterson coming in, who's a plus defender at all 3 outfield positions, especially center field. So when Bonifacio has to come in and play some second base for an injured Omar Infante, you've got a true center fielder that's going to go out there and replace him.
Dan Jennings told me he thought he was going to have the night off. They had a day game in New Orleans. Manager casually told him, you're going up to the big leagues. He got a flight and arrived today.
What a great thing, man. That's the best call
Great
ever.
moment. And he got up early today, easy flight from New Orleans, and he is here and ready to go for the Marlins. More on that, more in the ball game. We've got game 4 of this series coming up. The Miami Marlins and the Arizona Diamondbacks. Mark Burley will pitch for the Fish against the debut of Patrick Corbin, the lefty. Rich and Tommy with the call next.
Roof is closed. It's raining outside, but a big crowd expected as the Marlins and the Diamondbacks finish a 4-game series. First pitch coming up. Visit your local Toyota dealer today for great deals on an amazing lineup of Toyota vehicles. Toyota, moving forward by AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network. AT&T, rethink possible. Marlins Park Group closed its weather day, so there's an awful lot of kids here, and the crowd's still arriving here for a 12:40 start. The Arizona Diamondbacks have righted themselves to 11-11, right at 500. Willie Bloomquist has had a very nice series with the glove and the bat. Ryan Roberts gets a start at second base. Justin Upton is in right field. Jason Kubel is not in the lineup. He is sick. So Paul Goldschmidt is going to be in the cleanup spot. Cody Ransom is at third base. Gerardo Parra is into the lineup, and Parra will be in left field. He will hit sixth. A.J. Pollock's in center. Henry Blanco behind the plate. And Patrick Corbin will hit ninth. There's a look at Mark Burley.
Pretty amazing numbers. The 1-3 record, but an ERA at 2.63. Burley's pitched much better than the record. 33-year-old veteran has never faced the Arizona Diamondbacks before. So we have the veteran Burley against the 22-year-old Patrick Corbin making his Major League debut.
Pinch a penny brings you the first pitch. And Burley delivers up high. It's 1-0. Not a lot of Diamondbacks have a lot of experience against Burley except this man, Willie Bloomquist. Bloomquist, of course, in the American League for many years with Seattle and Kansas City. And Bloomquist has had quite the run against Burley with a huge sample size. Tommy, you're talking about almost 40 at-bats.
Yeah, there's a couple of things going for Willie Bloomquist right now. His success against Burley and the fact that he's on a 5-game hitting streak.
Now, he's been a terrific savior for the Diamondbacks. In the absence of Stephen Drew last year, Bloomquist moved into that starter's role at shortstop. Played quite well. Does all the little things well. He's not the best in terms of on-base percentage at the top of the order. Had a couple of hits in yesterday's ball game, and he goes to left and hits it pretty well. Kearns is back, and just shy of the wall, he makes the catch. Austin Kearns, in addition, for the Marlins defense.
And we'll take a look at that defense with Kearns in left, Bonifacio and Stanton filling out the outfield. No changes on the left side, no changes on the right side, and John Buck is behind the plate.
Ryan Roberts did not play in yesterday's ball game. Arizona beat Miami 8-4 yesterday. But Roberts was at third base for the first 2 games of the series, and though he's not really contributed at the plate, he was a ball magnet at third base. He got a lot of ground balls in the first 2 games and played quite well with the glove. Rolls this one to Hanley Ramirez, who straightens up and throws him out. And Burley, obviously, his calling card is working quickly, and he's got a couple outs.
Working quickly, the infielders are on their toes. Burley liked this play, Hanley going to his left. We've seen Hanley move toward the line, come in on a ball, go to his left, looking comfortable at third base.
So Justin Upton is in the 3 spot. Yeah, Jason Kubel, a late scratch. He is ill, not feeling well. And so Kirk Gibson taking him out of the cleanup spot. Here's the 0-1. And Burley misses away. Upton was a big contributor down the stretch for Gibson and the Diamondbacks, who last year really turned it on in the second half, won the West. There was a session in May with Don Baylor, the hitting coach, that got Upton rolling. The 2-1 pitch. And the guy that got Arizona off to a quick start this year, they were 4-0 and 5-1, is Chris Young, and Young is on the disabled list with a shoulder injury. But you know, sooner or later, Upton's going to start getting hot, and if the Diamondbacks can keep at 500, a few games over 500 when they get Young back, hoping that they get Daniel Hudson back as well, one of their starting pitchers. 3-2 coming. Good breaking ball, and Burley strikes out Justin Upton. Mark Burley, a 1-2-3 firsts. We're underway and scoreless. Burley, the veteran, real contrast facing a young lefty making his major league debut. And here's the lineup that Patrick Corbin's going to face. Marlins have flip-flop Reyes and Bonifacio again in the top 2 spots. Hanley Ramirez hits third. Austin Kearns gets a start in left, and he'll hit cleanup. Omar Infante still swinging a hot bat, hits 5th. Giancarlo Stanton with a long homer yesterday. Gabby Sanchez and John Buck both trying to get their bats some life. And Burley will hit 9th. And there's a look at the 22-year-old out of the Syracuse area, Patrick Corbin.
And there, look at his numbers at AA Mobile. He gotten off to a terrific start. He was 9-8 last year, also pitching in AA. Make his major league debut, another left-hander. I think it's interesting, the Marlins, when they see Corbin this game, will have seen 2 pitchers that came over in that deal that sent Dan Aaron to the Angels. Joe Saunders with a shutout the other night in the first game of this series.
And the Marlins in this skid, they've dropped 7 of 8, have seen a ton of lefties. This the 3rd lefty they will see in this series. Of course, in New York, they ran into Jonathan Neese, Johan Santana. First pitch to Reyes is a strike. And then Ross Detweiler is the guy that really got this skid started on that Friday in Washington.
You know, and career-wise, Jose Reyes, a .305 lifetime hitter against lefties.
Ground ball up the middle, backhanded there. Roberts, a quick release and a terrific play. And it seems like no matter where you put Ryan Roberts with the glove, he was outstanding at third base for 2 games, and that's a nice play to get a speedy man.
Pretty amazing. The other night when he was at third base, he had 9 ground balls, and it was all over the place. He made the plays, and now he's moved over to second. He makes a nice play on that ball up the middle.
If you want to document the offensive struggles, the top of the order has not been getting on. The middle of the order really hasn't been hot, and the bottom of the order hasn't been contributing. So you add those up, and there's not a lot of runs to be scored.
Why, Rich, I can figure that one out.
Bonifacio particularly has struggled against lefties this year. He runs up to bunt, and he fouls it at the plate.
You try to learn things in watching a young pitcher. You'll watch a little video. Crack staff down in the clubhouse, part of our crack staff, had video of Corbin in spring training. So some of the guys had an opportunity to watch him. One of the things, it looks like he works quickly as well. They're taking a page out of Mark Burley.
Clay, New York, Syracuse area. Went to Cicero North High School in Syracuse. Corbin misses. Of course, the old school way was just to ask the leadoff hitter or the number 2 hitter what's he got, or to stand on the top step and get a good look at him yourself.
Yeah, you're leading me to a great story. The Diamondbacks are not televising today, but I was talking to Mark Grace, who does their color analyzing, and I said, Gracie, when you played, what did you do when you faced a pitcher you'd never seen before? He said, well, first of all, I asked Rhino what he had. How was his fastball moving? So he'd go up to Sandberg. Was it moving this way? Does he have a breaking ball? When will he use it? And then you stand on the steps in the dugout, you watch it. It's a little different now.
Corbin a 3-2 to Bonifacio. It's a fastball, cold, just foul. And it stays at 3-2. Josh Kohlmetzer was going to make this start. Obviously, with Daniel Hudson down in the rotation, the Diamondbacks have had to scramble. And so Corbin gets the call. Ground ball short. Bloomquist on the run. He is safe. And an infield single by Emilio Bonifacio. That's a very difficult play for a shortstop with a man as fast as Bonifacio, and the Diamondbacks know all about it.
Bonifacio is one of the quickest up the line from either side of the plate. You have to have a really strong throwing arm as a shortstop. That wasn't a bad play by Bloomquist. Bonifacio just outran it. And by the way, to tag the Mark Grace, it didn't seem to affect him that he didn't watch a whole lot of video. Finished his career with just under 2,500 hits.
That's because Ryan Sandberg gave him great scouting reports. Now Hanley Ramirez.
And Gonzo when he was with the Diamondbacks.
That's a good point. Corbin to the plate. Hanley drives it into right center field. That's deep, and it's into the gap. Bonifacio racing for third. Up with the ball is Pollock. Stop sign is up. A terrific job by rookie A.J. Pollock to get to the ball in right center. With the speed of Bonifacio, if that ball gets any further in the gap, it's a run.
Boy, I'll tell you, one of the happiest guys right now is Eduardo Perez. Talking to him before the game, he said one of the biggest problems the club has had against lefties with his right-handed batters. They're not thinking up the middle. They're not thinking right center. If they do that, they'll have better success against lefties. He loved that base hit of Hanley's going into right center.
So now a very big at-bat now for Austin Kearns. Here's a look at Eduardo Perez, who obviously has been working tirelessly with the hitters.
It's another situation, Rich, that troubled the Marlins in this series. A chance right here to just get a run. A ground ball, a fly ball deep enough. Got a lot of speed at third and Bonifacio.
Look at how far Paul Goldschmidt is playing off of first. The Diamondbacks have done that consistently against right-handed hitters in this series. 0-2.
Boy, the other thing is that Hanley really appeared to shorten things. Lay gets down, shortens it, and gets to that pitch. Something he has to lock in consistently to have the success we've seen him have. Former batting champ.
Now you've got a youngster making his major league debut against a veteran in Kearns. 0-2 count, second and third, one out. It hit him. Came inside with a fastball, and they're loaded up for probably the Marlins' hottest hitter, and that's Omar Infante.
This is one thing. He wanted that fastball up. You saw Henry Blanco, the veteran catcher, call for the fastball up. It just took off inside, but one of the little subtle things in facing a pitcher you've never faced before, you can look at all the video, but in that case, 0-2 as a hitter, boy, you're not sure what he's comfortable with throwing in that situation.
So the bags are loaded. Here is Infante. Does not have a grand slam in his long career. Infante, 30 years old. This is his second year with the Fish, his 11th year in the big leagues.
So many times in this stretch of losses, there has been a play early in the game that's kind of set the tone. Here's a situation early in this game that could set the tone.
And Corbin working from the stretch, and you've got a 40-year-old veteran catcher, Henry Blanco. He's the perfect guy to put with Corbin for a start like this. And he's out there to talk to him.
Well, he has well-traveled. You put well-traveled catcher, and Henry Blanco's face shows up.
Yeah, and right next to it is dependable and very good defender.
I was going to say right next to it also are the Molinas, a couple of them.
He may be a long-lost cousin of a Molina. Blanco is a very good catch and throw guy at 40 now. He's getting the start on the last game of this 4-game series with the Diamondbacks. So here's Infante in the first pitch. Went with a breaking ball and he missed outside. Omar Infante, of course, has missed about a week of time with that groin strain. To show you how hot he has been, his slugging percentage is .759. If he had a few more at-bats, he would trail only Matt Kemp in the National League. And it's a comebacker. There's an out there, and Blanco throws him out. And the Marlins' offensive woes continue. Bases loaded, one out, and they don't get a run out of it. H. Gregg. Just like yesterday, lots of rain, and appropriately, as we go to our Coventry second inning, it's weather day. So many of the local kids are here. They had a big weather demonstration. And were we in the old place? It really would be weather day.
I tell you what, in that old place, these last 2 games may have been banged.
Paul Goldschmidt now, as Burley misses on his first 2 pitches. Goldschmidt getting the start at first base. Big right-handed slugger. Goldschmidt out of Houston, played at Texas State, and he led all Division I players in 2009. He drove in 89 runs. He's come up through the minors quite quickly. USA Today's Minor League Player of the Year. Liner into right field, and that's a base hit.
Well, that's a great approach against a lefty. And that's an approach that Ozzie would like to see more of from his hitters.
So Goldschmidt is aboard. Here comes Cody Ransom. Ransom yesterday had a 2-run double. He got the start playing behind Wade Miley. And boy, if the Diamondbacks can get more starts like they have the first 2 starts that Wade Miley has made, they'll be in a nice spot. Miley was terrific against the Phillies in his first start of the year. Shut him out over 6 innings. And he went 6 1/3, gave up just 1 run in an 8-4 win yesterday. Ransom taking a long look at Matt Williams, the third base coach. What a terrific player he was. Runner goes. Pitch to the plate is in. The throw to second. Not in time. And Paul Goldschmidt showing off the speed. Swipes second base.
We talked about it at the beginning of this series. With a guy like Burley, you pretty much go on first movement because he has such a great move. You go back to 2001, Burley has more pickoffs than anybody in the major leagues.
Mark Burley only allowed 3 stolen bases last year. Base runners were 3 of 10 against him. And Burley seems unnerved right now. He's gone 3-0 to Ransom. You've got Gerardo Parra on deck. That ball's driven to left, and it's deep. Kearns looks up. That ball's gone. I mean, way gone. Cody Ransom, his second of the season, and the Diamondbacks take the lead moments after the Marlins couldn't score a run on a bases-loaded 1-out situation. All the momentum flips, and the Diamondbacks have a 2-0 lead.
Boy, you got that right. Momentum just changed in a hurry, and it's something we've seen over this last week or so. Opportunities early, big plays that haven't gone one way, and all of a sudden that other team takes advantage. And Cody Ransom finds the Clevelander with a shot on an 85-mile-an-hour fastball.
So a Clevelander home run by Cody Ransom.
And a green light Ransom was given. See, when you have a manager that was a hitter, like Kirk Gibson, he's going to give you that green light. We've seen that a couple of times in this series.
Sanchez is over. Burley gets there. Jason Kubel had a 3-0, and he hit a ball off the wall in straightaway center. So Parra is the first out of the second inning. And here comes young A.J. Pollock. Pollock, a 24-year-old out of Notre Dame. And a first-round pick, 17th overall in 2009. With Chris Young down. Pollock kind of filling the role of extra outfielder, pinch hitter. A bunt, and Buck, I think, lost sight of it. He turned around as if it was a pop behind him, and it lands in front of him for a base hit.
Yeah, I don't think he picked it up right away. We've seen John Buck make some good plays. Watch his actions. He looks backwards Ball comes out in front of the plate. No play at all for Burley. And look at how I wish I could hit a sand wedge that had that much bite to it. Turns out to be a great bunt for Pollock.
Now Pollock has terrific speed. He stole 46 bases last year in Double-A. Blanco takes a strike. But as you noted, Burley has one of the better pickoff moves in the business, even though Goldschmidt stole second quite easily.
And what I mean when I said against a guy with a good move, you go on first movement, you just take a chance, you guess. And you hope you guess right. But as soon as he lifts his leg, if he'd have been guessing there, he'd have been picked off. So you just take a chance.
A Cody Ransom home run has the Diamondbacks on top. I think Burley has shown him the C move and the B move. Another throw over. The Diamondbacks are at 11-11. And they came into this series limping. They had dropped 7 of 9 after opening the season 5-1. And of course the Marlins had come off a great homestand. They'd gone 5-1, hit the road, and ran straight into Washington and just flat out couldn't hit. Scored 2 runs in 2 games, lost them both in Washington. Blanco couldn't hold his swing. Were swept against the Mets, lost 3 one-run leads late in those games in New York.
Mark Burley would like to make that perfect pitch. If he can get a ground ball out of Blanco, he's got a real good chance to see a double play turn.
Pollock at first. Burley over. A little better move there. And of course, the Marlins scuffling in the basement of the East. The Nationals off to a quick start. Nationals have company now at the top of the East, with the Braves having caught them. The Braves and the Nationals both at 14-8. The Nationals swept by the Dodgers in some tight games, but the Dodgers now have a 4-game lead in the West over the Giants.
Not only are the Braves, Rich, on top now, tied with the Nationals, but they have their all-star starter back. Tim Hudson started, went 5 innings, gave up just a couple of runs.
Blanco fouls it back to the screen, and the Marlins run into the Giants, who just won the last 2 games against the Padres and have the day off, opening up a series in San Francisco tomorrow night. Blanco off the end of the bat, and a flare is going to land into center. Bonifacio picks it up. Pollock stops at second. And Mark Burley now has given up 4 hits in the inning. The single to Goldschmidt. Ransom's homer on a 3-0. The bunt single by Pollock. And Blanco's hit. And now you've got Patrick Corbin, who's making his Major League debut. So this obviously his first AB. Let's see if Kirk Gibson has him laying down a bunt.
Yeah, the first 2 hits, the Goldschmidt single and the home run, were hit hard. The bunt was just well placed, and the bloop in a good spot.
Minor league numbers: 8 for 40. And now the Marlins infield wants to get together.
Yeah, making room on the Diamondbacks roster for Patrick Corbin. they optioned right-hander Joe Martinez to AAA Reno.
Of course, in case you missed it, the Marlins with a couple of transactions after the ball game. Chris Coghlan sent down to New Orleans. Brian Peterson is up. There's the bunt. Buck on it to Infante covering. And that's not a bad first AB for Patrick Corbin. He lays down a nice bunt. Miami's Marlin moves.
Yeah, there's a look at the moves made. Brian Peterson off to a good start, and it'll be Dan Jennings' Major League debut when we first see him. We've seen him in spring training, but throwing the ball well, good fastball slider, a left-hander. And I think for Chris Coghlan, yes, disappointing that he got sent down, but he'll be happy to be in there every day. And for Mike Dunn, he needs to work on command. Command and also picking up the pace when he comes into a game.
All right, Randy St. Clair just came to the mound. We told you in the first inning that Willie Bloomquist has almost owned Mark Buehrle in his career. Bloomquist hit a ball to the warning track in left field. So 18 of 40 now is Bloomquist in his career against Buehrle. First base is open, and Buehrle puts it 2 feet outside.
Yeah, I think that was a reminder from Randy St. Clair. You've got a guy on deck who's won for his last 26 in Ryan Roberts.
Now Buehrle is well aware of the numbers, so is Bloomquist. And after that warning track shot,
he has fun out there.
Willie hit that ball pretty well. He's in a big spot here, second and third. And Buehrle's not giving him anything. It's 3-0.
We've seen, we talked about it, we've seen it this inning. Kirk Gibson not afraid to give his hitters the green light on 3-0, so be careful.
Buehrle is ultra careful. I'll bet you Willie Bloomquist has had a few intentional walks when he hits in the 8th spot. Not sure how many he's had in the leadoff spot.
You know what? That wasn't an intentional walk.
I know.
But it was.
Ryan Roberts now. Now Roberts in this series is 0 for 9. There are 2 outs. The bags are loaded. This has been maybe the longest half inning that Buehrle has had all season. Counts 0-1. Marlins had the bases loaded and 1 out, and Omar Infante, their hottest hitter at the plate, in the bottom of the first. Then he bounced back to the mound. Patrick Corbin, making his Major League debut, got out of the inning with a double play. Roberts holds up. Ball and a strike. A.J. Pollock had the bunt single. Henry Blanco flared one into center. After Corbin's sacrifice, Bloomquist was walked. Somewhat intentionally. 1-1. And now Buehrle trying to dial it back in after throwing 4 wide ones to Bloomquist. And it's 2-1. Got a strike. 2-2.
Good pitch under the hands of Roberts. Let's see where Buehrle goes after that. Change up away. Not quite the touch yet. He's missed with a few change-ups up in the zone. That's not where Buehrle wants to throw it.
So there's Upton. Runners will be on the move. The 3-2. Roberts, it's a high fly ball down the left field line. It's towards the corner. Kearns is over for a look, and it's out of play. This is a very un-Burley-like inning.
Yeah, I think his first half inning was about 4.5, 5 minutes. He's 14, 15 minutes in this one. And you're right.
Roberts waiting. Let's see what Burley and Buck settle on. The 3-2. Little cutter or slider, and it's fouled back. Ozzie Guillen and the Fish are headed west. 9 games on the trip, 3 in San Francisco, 3 in San Diego, and 3 in Houston. Diamondbacks are headed north. 3 in Washington, 3 in New York. 3-2 coming. Roberts hanging in there.
31 pitches in this inning alone for Mark Burley. He's made a couple of good pitches, but he's gotten a battle from Roberts on the foul balls.
Of course, you remember Roberts had a big grand slam in the division series last year against Milwaukee. He had a couple of home runs for Kirk Gibson.
He had a good series. He was 7 for 20.
That was a good series, a good one to watch. Milwaukee won it in 5 games. Another 3-2, and he got him. Chased a fastball. But the Diamondbacks, on a 2-run homer by Cody Ransom, have a 2-0 lead in Miami.
En español es presentado en SAP por Coventry Healthcare of Florida.
In Miami today, on a rainy day, it is weather day appropriately. Cody Ransom on a 3-0 pitch from Mark Burley hit one off the facing of the wall over the left field wall, bouncing it past the Clevelander for a long home run and a 2-0 lead. And the Marlins go back to work on Patrick Corbin. Here's Giancarlo Stanton's first look at the rookie. Comes up and in with a fastball, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Stanton's home run yesterday, his first of the season, and he pops it up. Blanco, and he didn't get it. Henry Blanco, I think, was waiting for help from his third baseman, and it never came.
Never came, and I also think, not only are the Marlins getting used to a new ballpark and new look, visiting teams the same way, but you're right, Blanco needs to get help right there. Of course, the third baseman, Cody Ransom, playing way back with Giancarlo Stanton, the hitter.
Here's the 1-2. Great pitch. Patrick Corbin carves up Giancarlo Stanton.
Nice changeup.
Joey Cora.
Joey trying to get out of the way.
You blotted him out. What was that? A liquid paper?
Yeah, I'm
type
trying to
application. You
trying to work on things here.
Driven into the seats.
Somebody came in here last night before the game and changed the telestrator, I think.
Gabby Sanchez, then you got John Buck against Corbin. Corbin's biggest pitch was the one to Infante that started a 1-2-3 double play that got him out of a bases loaded 1-out spot. And he runs the fastball away. It's 1-2.
The other thing, we talked about the struggles of some of the right-handers against lefty. Gabby, in his career, 309 lifetime against left-handed pitching.
Got that fastball in on him. Well, I mean, if you want to look at raw numbers, the Marlins come into this ball game against lefties hitting a robust 169 with a 212 on base percentage and a 318 slugging percentage. As we've noted during this skid, having dropped 7 of 8, they've run into a bunch of lefties.
And again, you go back to, during this stretch, some plays early in the game. Go back to that catch Neuenhuis made against Reyes in New York. A scout, Mr. Miley, Patrick Corbin. Had Mia all messed up there.
I know.
It's Patrick Corbin out there pitching.
Marlins have seen enough of Wade Miley. That was yesterday.
Not sure how much sleep the crack staff got last night. Probably not much.
No, it is not. Marlin crack staff is struggling against left-handed starters as well.
Then again, the bottom line, you've seen one, and you've seen them all. They've all been successful. Good job by Gabby to be patient against Corbin.
You're right about early plays in the game. You go back to the terrific play by Willie Bloomquist that showed up on every highlight film, stealing a hit from Jose Reyes when he literally stood on his head. That was on Saturday. Marlins had something going against Ian Kennedy. If you want to go back further, how about that catch in New York by Kirk Neuenhuis on Reyes that opened the series in New York? Buck, that would be 5, that would be 4, that would be 3. And another double play, a pair of them for Patrick Corbin. Single game tickets for this inaugural season of Marlins Park are on sale, and it's a dynamic pricing system. So you can choose your seats, pick up single game garage parking passes, and print it all from the comfort of your home or office. Everything is just a few clicks away. So head to Marlins.com today. The popular Clevelander area in left field. That's the area that Cody Ransom went for a 2-run homer against Mark Burley. Justin Upton, Paul Goldschmidt, and Ransom coming up against Burley. Here in the third, Burley looked like himself in the first, not so much in the second. 8 men came to the plate in the second inning. And here's Upton. Burley flips up a breaking ball.
Not an easy part of the order, but it's a time you'd like to see Mark Burley just settle back in and regroup after that second inning.
To right, Stanton, shy of the track, makes the catch. And here comes Paul Goldschmidt. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Miami Marlins, may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins. Goldschmidt started that second with a base hit, stolen base, and he scored on the 2-run homer. And he pulls a breaking ball that is foul. Limited schedule in the National League. You've got the Dodgers and the Rockies. That's tonight. The Mets and the Astros. Cubs and Phillies tonight. Jam shot. Buck tosses the mask and makes the catch. Nissan leaders of the game. Shortest game time in 2012. See Mark Burley just seconds behind Joe Blanton and Roy Halladay, the leader. Jordan Zimmerman and Kyle Loesch, the fastest workers. Of course, you got to get guys out too. You can work fast and not get anybody out, and the time of game doesn't matter. Little pop-up, and it's out of play.
Seeing the name Kyle Loesch up there, how about the way the Cardinals have gotten off to a very good start. Wainwright's not pitched well. Carpenter hasn't pitched at all, but Loesch is 4-0, and Lance Lynn is 4-0. So just in those two starters, they have 8 wins.
Burley's 0-1 spins outside. The Braves are at home with the Pirates, finishing off a long series. That's tonight. Talked about the Braves. They got Chipper Jones back. They've got Tim Hudson back. Jason Hayward looks like he's back to his form of 2 years ago.
Freddie Freeman, Dan Uggla off to a better start than he got off to last year. And Brian McCann just keeps on hitting.
Warren Henry bringing you Fox Tracks. Burley, the 2-2. Soft liner. Hanley lunges and gets it. A 1-2-3 third for Mark Burley, and a 2-0 lead for Arizona. Home to the exciting entertainment of the original South Beach location. Experience the game from field-level seats with a poolside bar and grill right next to the Marlins bullpen. The Clevelander is also available for private events. To book your group, 1-877-MARLINS or go to marlins.com. Mark Burley leads it off in the bottom of the third. Patrick Corbin has used a double play to get out of both the first and the second inning as he makes his major league debut. And a strike to Burley. Speaking of the Clevelander, I thought I saw Johnny Damon out there yesterday after the game. Here's a 2-1. Little dribbler, and it's a fair ball. Blanco pounces on it, throws him out. Damon actually will be joining the real Clevelanders, the Cleveland Indians, tomorrow.
And the Marlins will be seeing the Tribe May 18th, 19th, and 20th.
Damon needs just 277 hits to get to 3,000 for his career.
Well, if he gets them this year, the Tribe may go to the World Series.
Yes. Yeah, he's obviously hopeful he will hang around for a couple more seasons. Want to know to Jose Reyes. Reyes in the leadoff spot. Emilio Bonifacio behind him. And it's 2-0. Corbin misses up. The Marlins will see the Indians. It's one of the oddest interleague schedules for the Marlins in a long time. There was a couple years ago, where the Marlins played a team from every division in the American League. And this year, the Marlins play their annual home and home with the Rays. Also have a home and home with the Red Sox for some reason.
Yeah, which is very unusual. You usually have a home and home against your natural, so to speak, rivalry. But to also have a home and home against the Red Sox is unique.
Toronto comes to Miami, and then for good measure, the Marlins are headed to the AL Central to visit Cleveland.
But we look forward to our visit to Fenway.
I'm looking forward to going to Cleveland as well. You've got the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
I've been there in a while. Yeah, you're right.
The Jake, or Progressive Field.
I'm sure there are people there who still call it the Jake.
It'll be good to see Manny Acta. He's had a nice run there in Cleveland. The Indians right now are at 11-9. They have a one-game lead over the White Sox, who are at even 500, and the Tigers, who have fallen back to 11-11. Detroit has dropped 8 of 10. Blanco out to talk to his young starter, young in age, he's 22, and in experience. This is his big league debut.
In Cleveland, we'll get to see a former Hurricane, Chris Perez, the Indians closer.
Reyes hit first. Bonifacio waiting. Outside corner for a strike.
Who, by the way, is tied for the American League lead with 7 saves. This is where you have to be patient.
Bonifacio pushes a bunt foul.
You have the 22-year-old out there, as you pointed out, making his major league debut. Had trouble finding the strike zone to Reyes. And when you get him on the ropes a little bit, he was able to wiggle out of that situation in the first inning with that 1-2-3 double play.
As you pointed out, he was part of 3 players that came over from the Angels in the Dan Herron trade. Second round pick back in 2009. So he hasn't spent a whole lot of time in the minor leagues. He was tearing it up in Double-A this year, and he was in Double-A. 4 starts, 2-0 with a 1.67 ERA.
Well, it's one of the reasons their general manager, Kevin Towers, said they chose to bring up Patrick Corbin. He was pitching well, number one, and he also threw in there he's left-handed.
Of course, Towers is one of the sharpest in the business. He didn't say it right out, but he said, we've noticed that most teams in the National League are struggling against lefties, and he could have pointed out on the field, said the Marlins are one of those teams, because the Fish certainly have. So Corbin gets the start. It's Wade Miley yesterday. Joe Saunders started the first game of the series. The only game that the Marlins have won in this series was started by the Diamondbacks ace, and that's Ian Kennedy. And they didn't beat Kennedy. They came back and beat the bullpen 3-2.
That was on Hanley's walk-off hit and the tremendous performance by Anibal Sanchez.
In the dirt, Blanco blocks it, and Bonifacio missed it. So a strikeout for Bonifacio. Up comes Hanley Ramirez.
23rd time this year that Bonifacio has struck out, and a good number of those have been batting right-handed. He's much better in staying in the zone when he's up there hitting left-handed. Much wilder swing from the right side.
Hanley punched a double to right center. Of course, Hanley had the walk-off hit in that Saturday game, and that snapped an 0 for 26. Corbin misses in. He was 1 for his last 30 before the double in the first.
Most of the time you'll look over a lineup during the course of the year and you'll see some ugly 1-fers and 2-fers, even an 0-fer. But when you see 4 or 5 guys in a lineup, then you know you're in trouble, and that's exactly what's happened. John Buck has struggled. Stanton looks like he's coming out of it. He's struggled. Hanley, Bonifacio, Reyes.
Ozzie Guillen has said it. You hear other baseball people say it, that the Marlins will be fine when they start hitting. But at some point you wonder, when will that happen? Marlins aren't getting much of a break by going into San Francisco. They get Matt Cain tomorrow night.
Yeah, it doesn't get any easier going out to San Francisco.
That's a great staff and a tough place to hit. And then into San Diego.
And they get another one of those soft tossing lefties. The second game of the series in San Francisco. Barry Zito.
Barry Zito has been dynamite this year.
And Zito changes speeds with the best of them.
Chevron delivers. Tomorrow's starters. That's a nice look. Ricky Nolasco and Matt Cain. In fact, I think that car is out on the wall in left field in San Francisco. In Marlins lore, I don't know if that is still out there. There was a car with a surfboard out there, and Cantu hit a ball off the top of that surfboard that actually protruded, or it might have been the top of the car that was protruded from the normal fence line. So he didn't get a home run, he got a double, and as it would turn out, Cantu would finish with 29 home runs. The 3 other infielders in that Marlin infield would hit 30 or more homers that year. They were still the first infield in Major League history, I believe, to all hit over 25 home runs.
Over 25, yeah.
And they would have been the first infield in Major League history to hit 30 were it not for that little Chevron car on the wall in left field. In one of the most beautiful ballparks if not the most beautiful ballpark in all of baseball in terms of just setting the view out into the San Francisco Bay. (3-2). Now a throw to first. Reyes is back.
Of course, Dan Uggla, Hanley Ramirez in that club, and Mike Jacobs, the first baseman that year.
Count is full. Reyes is at first. There are 2 outs. Arizona's on top 2-0. Cody Ransom home run is holding up for Patrick Corbin, making his major league debut. And his breaking ball misses up. So he loses Ramirez. Now Austin Kearns comes up. And Henry Blanco, who has so many years in the big leagues, out to counsel Corbin. Blanco is a 23rd year professional. He is 40. He's been a lot of places and seen a lot of things.
Yeah, he originally signed by the Dodgers organization back in 1989 out of Venezuela.
I'm sure when Jamie Moyer faces the Diamondbacks, he'll say, oh yeah, I faced him when he was coming up. Kearns was hit by a pitch and is only a bat against Corbin. Got good speed out there. Now the youngster having some control issues. 3 walks, he's hit a batter. Has a couple of strikeouts. Reyes at second. Hanley Ramirez at first. 1-0 coming. Kearns hits a ground ball. Ransom gets the out, and the Marlins are done. They leave 2 more here in the third. 2-0 Arizona.
Above the Clevelander, with the proximity to the Marlin bullpen, it can make those calls to the bullpen a little difficult to pick up, as Randy Cho told me.
Oh, that would be a great idea. We actually asked for that. We had the first homestand we had it would just ring regular. We couldn't hear it, and it was a pretty loud ringer, but you couldn't hear it. So they got a little speaker box, so it's like it sounds like like the fire trucks leaving the when they do that. But a light would be nice too. That way we'd be able to see. If we couldn't hear for some reason, we could see. But I think a light would be a great idea.
So they need some, I guess, from the old bat phone with that light going off, just in case it gets a little noisy. And it seems like every game we've been here, guys, I think you can even hear the beat from the booth. It usually is pretty busy down there in the Clevelander. Back to you.
See, Craig, you're supposed to do your hit from inside the Cleveland like Jeff Conine does.
I'm trying to be somewhat professional and not do every hit in the park from the Cleveland hit. So I'm mixing it up a little bit.
You're right. Well, Gerardo Parra has opened up the fourth with a base hit. A.J. Pollock, Henry Blanco will follow against Mark Burley. Parra didn't know he was going to play till about 25 minutes before first pitch when there was a lineup change. Jason Kubel, who'd had such a great series, he was a hero with his 4 hits in game 1. He had 3 hits yesterday, 7 hits in the series. He was ill, and so Kubel was taken from the lineup. I'm sure Parra was told last night, going to give you a day off, take it easy, and he's probably sitting in his locker checking his email. And got a tap on the shoulder and said, "You're in there."
You're in there, by the way. Yeah, Kubel 7 for 13 in the series. And one of their hottest hitters. Yeah, his hitting streak stopped at 10, but he's hit in 11 of 12, over 400.
And Kubel at 333 with 3 homers and a dozen RBIs. It's turned into a nice sign so far. That's a bouncer that's wide of third. You've got Parra, who's been playing center. Pollock getting the start in center field in this one. Parra's been playing center, and with Chris Young being out.
A.J. Pollock out of Notre Dame. He made his major league debut just a couple of weeks ago.
But he was tearing up AAA. He had a monster year last year in AA. I mean, listen to these numbers. He had 53 doubles and 46 stolen bases. Drove in 95 runs. Pollock, a 2-time MVP at Notre Dame. The last to win that award was our director Jim Hawley's favorite reliever, Aaron Heilman. 2-2.
Well, the Fighting Irish have produced some good baseball players.
One guy that has a big piece of Marlins history, scoring the winning run in 1997, Craig Counsell, Game 7 of the World Series. Into left field, that's a base hit. Pollock with his second hit, and the Diamondbacks, who knocked Josh Johnson around in yesterday's ball game, 10 hits in 5 1/3, already have 6 hits against Mark Burley. AT&T trivia question. As we flip the phone, Alan Trammell finished second in the American League MVP voting in 1987. Who was first?
Let me just say, let me throw out a hint.
Henry Blanco. Dramatic pause. Into left, and Kearns makes the catch.
Well, the hint is, over the years, back in the late 80s and the early 90s, the Toronto Blue Jays had some very good outfielders. That's my hint.
Your hint drawing an encouraging sound effect. Here is Patrick Corbin. Well, Corbin laid down a very nice sacrifice bunt in the second. This is working perfectly for a kid making his major league debut. First and second, he has an opportunity to do it again. He takes a strike. Kara and Pollock. Pretty good speed out there for Arizona. Corbin's bunt. Someone got to take it, and Corbin beats it. The throw either hit him in the back or was dropped by Infante, but Tommy, I think he beats that throw anyways. That may be his first major league hit.
Well, to his credit, he goes up the line quickly, but there's miscommunication. Buck yelling, "I got it," and all of a sudden Gabby came into the view. It looks like John Buck's going to make this play. Here comes Gabby. He looks like he's going to bend down and get it. A little hesitation on John's part, and by the time Buck unleashed the throw, give credit. Buck was the only one calling it. And he got confused because he saw Gabby come in and kind of lean over. And you give Corbin, the rookie, credit for getting up the line quickly.
Bases loaded and a drive into right center field. That's a base hit. Stanton and Bonifacio. Stanton slides to get it. 2 runs are across. Corbin gets to third, and Willie Bloomquist has done it again against Mark Burley. There was no place to put Bloomquist. Burley couldn't pitch around him, and Bloomquist, who was close to 500 in his career with 41 career at bats, punches this one in the gap in right center.
Little cutter, slider. He just stays with it. It's the kind of swing that Marlins need to show against lefties, but they see it from Bloomquist. And again, the Marlins not capitalizing on situations, and in this case and in this series, the Diamondbacks have been.
If the Marlins get that out at first base, Burley again can pitch around Bloomquist like he did in the second. Then he struck this man out, Ryan Roberts, who hits one to left and deep. Back goes Kearns. That'll score another run. Kearns makes the catch, and Corbin comes home. Arizona has put 5 on the board against Mark Burley. Ryan Roberts delivers the RBI.
Well, and again, getting the ball in the air, picking up the runner from third with less than 2 out. How many times have we seen the Marlins not be able to do that?
The official scoring on the Corbin bunt is an error on Omar Infante.
That's a real tough error because the ball arrived right at the same time the runner, Corbin, did.
I thought it actually arrived after he got there.
That maybe another look will give us a better idea. Well, watch Gabby. It gets in the way of Buck. The hesitation and the drop by Omar.
Here's Upton. Upton has struck out. He has flied out.
When you're hitting, I mean hitting a lot, you can overcome some little mistakes. But when you're not hitting, the little mistakes really become evident and always seem to come back and bite you.
Burley comes back on the corner and gets a strike, but for the Marlins, you've got Burley staggering in the middle of this game. He's at 70 pitches now. And his changeup misses down low. And as we pointed out, and as Ozzie Guillen has said, it's kind of a cascading effect. When you don't hit, there's more pressure on your starting pitcher. There's more pressure on your defense. That ball's hammered left field and deep. Wow, way out of here. Justin Upton launches just his second home run of the season. And Arizona is clobbering the Marlins right now. 7-0.
When you see balls fly out the way Ransom's did and the way Upton's just did, You go back to the topic of the home runs being hit in this ballpark. The bottom line, the Marlins aren't swinging the bats. If the Marlins were swinging the bats, they'd hit home runs just like that.
Shallow left. Hanley's out. Kearns is in, and it drops between them.
More mistakes. More mistakes.
Reyes going out there along with Kearns. Austin Kearns came charging in. Jose Reyes was out, and it lands between him, and Ozzie Guillen doesn't like what he sees, and who can blame him? It is 7-0 Arizona.
I'll tell you what, Ozzie for the most part has kept his calm. Ozzie's going to flip after this game because stuff like this should not happen in the major leagues. A miscue at the plate on the bunt by Corbin. Miscommunication there between Kearns and Reyes. It shouldn't happen when you're playing good. It shouldn't happen when you're playing badly.
So here's Ransom now. And a long inning gets longer for Mark Burley. 2-run double by Willie Bloomquist. 2-run homer by Justin Upton. Those the big blows. That one up the middle. Reyes has it. And he throws Ransom out. 5 runs. And a 7-0 lead for Arizona. Price service selection. Lexus of Pembroke Pines. In Miami on another rainy day. The roof closed. It's weather day. It's cloudy outside and it's cloudy inside. 7-0. Diamondbacks on top, and the Marlins have been awful in this ball game. A couple of defensive mistakes led to a big inning there. The Marlins had opportunities early against Patrick Corbin, making his major league debut, and a ball club that many thought would be contending for a postseason spot has stumbled to an 8-13 start. They've dropped 7 of 8, and now they're in a 7-0 hole to the Diamondbacks. And here's Infante taking a strike.
To the Diamondbacks and to a young left-hander making his major league debut. He feels a lot better out there with a 7-run lead, I'm sure.
Corbin has helped himself at the plate. He's got a couple of sacrifice bunts as well. To right, Upton over, and he's there and makes the catch. Alan Trammell, part of our AT&T trivia question.
Well, let's see, they had Jesse Barfield, they had Derek Bell, they had Glenn Allen Hill, and
flip the phone.
George Bell.
That's a pretty good year there. 47 homers, 134
it was
driven in.
And they had Devon White.
Did they have you in the TV booth that year?
Not in '87, no.
What year did you arrive?
1990.
That wasn't a bad year to be in Toronto either. They were pretty darn good then.
No, and then they made the deal and got Roberto Alomar. Of course, 92 and 93, winning world championships.
Here's the 1-1. Stanton fouls it back. Giancarlo. So wait a minute. Were you in Toronto for both those world championships?
Yes.
So you have been a broadcaster for 4 world champions.
Yes.
In 2 different cities.
2 different cities.
2 different countries. Here's the 1-2. And Stanton swings and misses. And Corbin right now has all the wind in his sails. He's got a 7-0 lead. He struggled in the first and the third. Remember, he got double plays to finish the first and the second. Now he's got the first 2 outs of the fourth.
Rich, one of the trivia questions they may still use, we'll have to check with Buck Martinez up on the Toronto Blue Jays television network, or maybe Jerry Howarth over on the radio side, is who is the only person to broadcast for both Canadian teams and play for both Canadian teams.
Well, it's not Ron Fairley, because I know he didn't broadcast for those teams, but I believe the Redhead played for both.
He did.
It's probably you.
It's probably me.
Did Stubby Clapp play for the Blue Jays, or was he an Expo?
He was an Expo, I believe. And a Cardinal.
It's come to this.
We used to see Stubby in spring training.
It's come to this already in the bottom of the fourth. 1-2 coming. Swing and a miss. Boy, Patrick Corbin, Major League debut. He's got a 7-0 lead in Miami.
Performed very well in spring training. You know, he's been in pro ball maybe a little bit longer than some of the others, and you know, as we've looked at the National League, most clubs have been struggling with left-handed pitching. Just felt he was the right guy, and it's not to say that some of those other guys at some point in time make it an opportunity as well, but those are good decisions, tough decisions, but good decisions when you got several options that you could go to, and we felt Patrick was the right guy for the start on Monday.
That was Kevin Towers this weekend talking about the choice of Patrick Corbin for Josh Colementor, and he knew what he was talking about, and he knows what he's talking about. 14 years in San Diego, 4 National League West titles, took the Padres to a World Series. Now the Vice President, General Manager of the Arizona Diamondbacks, Kevin Towers.
You know, at this level, Rich, and we pointed out a lot, for pitchers, for any pitcher, even an experienced pitcher as Mark Burley is, you just must get ahead. And perfect example of that today, he's had 5 2-0 counts. 2 singles, 2 home runs, and a walk when he's fallen behind 2-0.
Behind par at 3-1, and it's 3-2. Little tapper, and Burley pounces and throws him out. And so Parra is out. Time for the Just for Men Auto Stop Foolproof Stat. Friday night, the Reno Aces and Brett Butler, the Diamondbacks' winningest AAA manager. Of course, Butler, a speedy guy, great bunter, very good outfielder. 17 years in the big leagues.
Brett Butler managed Emilio Bonifacio when he was coming up in the Diamondbacks organization.
You can count on Just for Men Auto Stop Foolproof for results.
Brett Butler over 2,000 base hits. Had a terrific career.
A.J. Pollock has 2 hits, has a bunt single, singled and scored in the 4th. The 4th is the big inning. Five runs in that inning against Mark Burley. To continue your theme of Blue Jays and Expos chatter, Kevin Towers also this weekend noting that the Diamondbacks are going to work out and take a look at Vladimir Guerrero. Guerrero, a 9-time All-Star, is 37. One and 2 to A.J. Pollock. Pollock takes up. And Pollock gets into a pitch. Kearns backing up, makes the catch. Burley has a couple outs here in the 5th. Brings up Henry Blanco. So it's San Francisco for 3. As we pointed out, Matt Cain is waiting. Ricky Nolasco against Cain. Barry Zito and Carlos Zambrano on Wednesday night. And Thursday is a getaway start, a 3:45 start Eastern time. Anibal Sanchez and Ryan Vogelsong. The Marlins have some history in terms of pitching well in that ballpark. Both Anibal Sanchez and Ricky Nolasco have thrown well in that ballpark.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, it's a good park to pitch in, but those two guys have had some tremendous outings. Sanchez, a one-hitter in San Francisco. And had no-hit stuff his last outing after the first 2 innings. Actually, he had it in the first inning. He just had a little trouble. He struck out 3 in the first inning.
2-2. Burley misses out. Working on Blanco, the number 8 hitter. If you just happened by, this is not a tape-delayed replay of yesterday's game where the Marlins fell down big to the Diamondbacks. Marlins in yesterday's ball game were down 8-0. And Ozzie Guillen finds himself and his ball club down 7-0 here in the top of the 5th. And a swing and a miss. Burley with a changeup finishes off Blanco. Halfway through, Subway 5th, 7-0 Diamondbacks.
Disponible por SAP.
Marlins Park with the roof closed on a rainy day in Miami. Weather day, a getaway day for the Fish. They are headed west to San Francisco. The Arizona Diamondbacks have made a very comfortable home here for the last 4 ball games. As the Diamondbacks try to take 3 of 4 from the Marlins trying to pull out of this nosedive, which has seen them lose 7 of their last 8. And today, just to add a little insult to the injury, they're facing a guy making his major league debut, a 22-year-old Patrick Corbin, who, when he got his 2 double play balls in the first and the second, it seemed to get him over the hump a little bit.
Well, it goes back to kind of a theme that we've seen. Had the Marlins been able to capitalize in that first inning when they had bases loaded and 1 out with Omar Infante, their hottest hitter, at the plate. You never know how things change. You never know how a 22-year-old making his major league debut is going to react. But he got a little tapper back to the mound, turned the double play, and all of a sudden the momentum was on his side.
But the Marlins' failings have spread to the defensive end in this one. A couple of errors in the 5-run fourth for the Diamondbacks. Mark Burley wasn't sharp. His old nemesis Willie Bloomquist got him for a 2-run double. And he's given up a pair of 2-run homers. Cody Ransom and Justin Upton. John Buck, a high pop-up. And it's out of play. It's interesting. You were talking about Ozzie Guillen. And you suspect that Mike Scioscia is going through the same thing with the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. 7-15 are the Angels, coupled with the fast start of their rivals, the Texas Rangers. They're 9 back. The Marlins are at 8-13 and 5.5 back of the top spot, which is occupied by both Atlanta and Washington. And of course, you've got the Diamondbacks, who made that great charge last year from worst to first, winning 94 games, capturing their 5th National League West championship in 14 years. Buck into center field. It rolls in the gap. Carr is over to get it. And the Marlins have a hit. It's their first hit since the first inning. A leadoff single. And it looks like Donnie Murphy's going to come up and hit for Burley.
First time they have gotten a base runner to lead an inning off, too.
Of course, the Angels were considered a team that was postseason worthy, and you see Dan Jennings in the bullpen as he gets ready to make his major league debut. He was brought up after the game yesterday with Mike Dunn sent down to AAA, Chris Coghlan sent to AAA, and Brian Peterson now with the ball club. It's 2 very different scenarios, though, for both managers in comparing the Angels and the Marlins, because you've got Scioscia, who's been ensconced there and has had great success. He has a nice managerial tree spreading out with guys, Joe Madden, Ron Renicky, guys that have worked under him. Bud Black, another, you're right.
Yeah, I think the common theme in those 2 teams, the Marlins and the Angels, is expectations are there.
And you've got Ozzie Guillen in his very first year here as the manager in Miami, whereas Scioscia's been there a long time, well established with great success. Guillen, of course, a world champion with the White Sox in 2005, and he was the Marlins third base coach when the Marlins won their 2nd world championship in 2003. Murphy, left field. That ball's deep. Donnie Murphy, gone. And maybe a spark for a team that is in desperate need of it. A pinch hit 2-run homer for Murphy.
You never know where you're going to get that spark from. And Donnie Murphy has supplied a little of it. He's supplied a little power, too. And all of a sudden, we've seen 3 home runs hit in this ballpark today. 2 by the Diamondbacks. And Murphy finds one into left field right here. And for Donnie Murphy, that's his second home run of the year.
Now Reyes. Well, it's a 5-run lead now for the Diamondbacks. There's nobody out. Reyes, Bonifacio, and Hanley. And Reyes takes a strike. Reyes has bounced out and he has walked. That's one of the cruel ironies of this ball game, is that the Marlins' top of the order has been able to get on base. Reyes has been on base once. Bonifacio has been on once. Hanley's been on twice. One-two, Reyes into center field. That's a base hit. And all of a sudden the Marlins seem to be catching up to Patrick Corbin.
He stays back nicely on this changeup. Off speed, foot gets planted, but the hands stay back and then drilled up the middle.
It will be interesting to see how much patience Kirk Gibson has with the rookie, how quickly his bullpen gets going. There's a lot of baseball left. Bonifacio takes a strike.
I was just thinking, Rich, Donnie Murphy thinks that Marlins Park is a home run haven, a hitter's park. Both of his home runs have been hit here.
And it goes to what we talked about both on Marlins Live and at the outset of the telecast. People have pointed at this park and said that it's a tough place for home runs. Any place the Marlins have played this year has been a tough park for home runs.
Yeah, the Marlins hit just 2 at Citi Field, and they brought the fences in.
Bloomquist staggers, gets the out, and that's it. Willie Bloomquist, I think one of the more underappreciated players in the National League. He doesn't have eye-popping numbers, but what he did last year filling in for Stephen Drew, both with the glove and with the bat down the stretch, and he's doing it now as Drew tries to come back from that ankle injury. No better way to stay connected with the Marlins than through the team's official social media channels. You can join the conversation, be first to receive breaking news, special offers, free prizes, and more. Like the Marlins at Facebook.com/Marlins. Follow them at Twitter.com/Marlins. Hanley.com/third baseman is up. He's doubled, he's walked. His double was in the first inning. Marlins had second and third and 1 out. Austin Kearns was hit by a pitch that loaded him up. And then Corbin got his double play ball from Infante.
Donnie Murphy now with 17 career home runs, but that was his 3rd pinch hit home run.
You can tell, Tommy, just his swing this year is back to where it was in 2010 before he suffered that awful wrist fracture. Murphy had that 1 week where he had 2 walk-off hits, earning an endearing nickname. But I can remember him in the clubhouse the day after he had the surgery, and his wrist was, oh man, it was awful. There were pins sticking out of it. It was an extensive surgery, and he came back last year and was able to make the team out of spring training, but he wasn't the same hitter. And there was some question. You know, Donovan Solano had the great spring training. Murphy and Solano seemingly were battling for that reserve infielder spot. Marlins went with the experience, and it's paid off. Murphy very good with the glove, and as you pointed out, his bat has been potent. Who would have thought that Donnie Murphy would have more homers than Giancarlo Stanton, Gabby Sanchez?
Gabby Sanchez.
Well, there's the guy that was going to start the ball game, Colementor. You want a decidedly different look from Patrick Corbin. Well, Colementor will certainly give the Marlins that if he comes into the ball game. 1-2. Inside corner. Andy Ramirez is rung up. Jim Reynolds, the home plate umpire. It's a big out for Patrick Corbin. Tommy, next time we go to New York, we got to stop by the MLB Fan Cave. There's some Marlin fans there. Stephen Bauer on the left.
You know why that's a good idea, to stop by the Fan Cave?
He's got to get some new gear, though.
Yeah, but we know at the Fan Cave they'll have some food for us, because those guys can eat.
It's a great point. They cater in a lot. They may lead the city in takeout menus,
and I guarantee they know where to cater in from. Great delis.
Austin Kearns now. Ground ball. Corbin got a glove on it. Bloomquist flips in time to Roberts covering. Marlins get 2 runs on a pinch hit homer by Donnie Murphy, but still trail the Diamondbacks by 5.
Thank you, Rich. Dan Jennings had a feeling something was up yesterday. He did not get his meal money like the rest of the Zephyrs in New Orleans getting ready for a road trip after the day game. He said he was planning on having a nice meal, and then all of a sudden, no meal money. And he said the manager was actually in the shower, veteran Major Leaguer Ron Hassey, so he had to wait. He actually said, then I saw something on Twitter, but I didn't want to get caught up, and it probably wasn't true. So I went in to talk to Hassey, who's the only catcher in big league history to catch 2 perfect games. A guy, as Jennings is described, has been through everything. And he said it about as casually as you could expect. Hey, kid, you're going to the major leagues. And that's how he got the news yesterday. Caught a flight this morning. He's here, and here he goes, guys. His big league debut. He did say he pitched here against FIU in that exhibition game. He said that should help him out a little bit, although, of course, he's going to have some nerves here.
All right, Craig, thanks. Jennings, and his first pitch in the big leagues.
California native, born in Berkeley, California, out of University of Nebraska.
Played his high school ball in Iowa, Des Moines, Iowa. And he had a nice run up the ladder in the Marlins organization. The only blip on the radar was the stay in New Orleans last year where he got knocked around a bit. But a minor league ERA in the low 3s. Been a reliever almost his entire minor league career. Made 13 starts his first year in 2008.
A couple of things here. Obviously, anybody with any kind of demeanor is going to have the jitters their first appearance. Jennings is a little hyper anyway. Good fastball and slider. He's just going to have to really bring it back just a little bit. I'm sure that's what Hanley tried to encourage him with.
And he's facing a guy making his major league debut who already has 5 innings in the book, and that's Patrick Corbin. Willie Bloomquist, Ryan Roberts for the Diamondbacks, who have a 7-2 lead. Liner to left, Kearns. And there's one out.
Got one out of the way. That'll help him settle in. And you know, the last couple of years that we've seen Dan Jennings in spring training, the last couple of years, he's been a name that we've heard. And so that always tells you he's highly thought of in the organization. And here he is making his major league debut.
Of the 7 runs that Mark Burley gave up, 4 of them earned. The Fish made 2 errors in the 5-run fourth. And of course, one of those errors was enormous, and it had a twofold implication. It allowed Corbin to reach on a sacrifice bunt, and it brought Bloomquist to the plate with the bags loaded, and Burley couldn't pitch around him. Bloomquist, as we pointed out, has clobbered Burley in his career. And so what did Bloomquist do? A 2-run double to right center field.
Yeah, Mark Burley's a pro. He's talking about the Bloomquist at bat with Sean Cunningham there.
And he says, hey, look, the rookie comes in and he can get him out.
Yeah.
I've been in the big leagues for 11 years. I can't get him out.
He'll bounce back. He's not the type of starter, and we've seen him between innings when he's in the game, that kind of goes over, sits by himself, doesn't talk to anybody. He sits on the bench. He'll talk to anybody who comes by.
And he's not that way before his start as well. There are some starters that even the day before their start all of a sudden shut it down and put themselves in some sort of baseball cocoon.
Yeah, and I want to comment. I mean, some people may be looking at that and go, well, how can he be live? It's 7-2. He didn't pitch well. You know what? He has a short memory. He knows he's going to be back out there. He'll pitch in that series in San Diego, and he'll be as ready as anybody for that start.
I'll tell you what, you like the fact that he's still on the bench.
Yeah.
Because there are some guys that would go run and hide, take a shower, and wait for the plane to leave for San Francisco. Ryan Roberts is up. Roberts is 0 for 2. He delivered a sacrifice fly in that 4th inning. It's going to be interesting to watch the Diamondbacks from this point forward and see if the momentum they've built here in Miami carries over. Because they had lost 7 of 9 coming into the series. Jennings up with a fastball. So Dan Jennings walks Ryan Roberts, and here is Justin Upton.
Good ball game out in Los Angeles last night. A couple of lefties, Capuano and Gio Gonzalez. A little bit of the wildness came out in Gio. He pitched okay, but he walked 5. He gave up a whole lot, just a couple of runs. The Dodgers won that game 2-0.
Jennings to the plate. Upton, the last pitch he saw, he lost from Burley. In the air, Stanton is there. And he makes the catch. So, Dan Jennings in his Major League debut works a scoreless 6th inning. inning. Patrick Corbin will stay in there for the Diamondbacks. Josh Colmenter had warmed up. The Marlins got 2 in the 5th. Omar Infante, Giancarlo Stanton, and Gabby Sanchez. And Infante takes outside, 3rd time through against Corbin. And this is a heck of a major league debut for the youngster. Pounces off the mound, has it, and that's going to be a base hit. He looked like Tim Tebow there with the jump pass, Tommy.
Yeah, from about the 2-yard line.
Unfortunately, that was from about the 30.
Yeah, he had a good effort, but there wasn't a chance that he was going to get Infante. And the one thing you hope when you see Infante legging one out this way, you hope that everything's okay with that throwing. It appeared to be running pretty well. So an infield base hit for Omar.
And a runner on, and here is Stanton. Well, you wait and you look for signs for the ball club, for Stanton. Remember, for the Marlins, Saturday night, they got runs in each of the last 3 innings. You thought that would carry over to yesterday, and it didn't. Stanton with his home run yesterday, plus a ball that he hit to the wall, smokes that one foul, and you thought maybe it would carry over to this ball game, and it hasn't. He has struck out twice. One ball, one strike.
We've seen Giancarlo when he gets hot, and most power hitters the same way, things start to get on a little bit of a roll. Talked about last year, 2 home runs in April, but 9 home runs in the month of May.
Off the end of the bat, and he doinks it into right field. Infante racing for 3rd, and Stanton dumps it into right for a hit. And the Marlins have a couple of hits. And you would expect Arizona's bullpen to get busy pretty quickly here.
And sometimes, Rich, the doinks get you going.
The lefty, Craig Breslow, is in the pen warming up.
Well, we saw, because of the Marlins struggles with lefties, we saw Gibson unload Breslow and Zagurski, a couple of lefties, yesterday.
Gabby Sanchez has walked and struck out. The 2 runs on the board for the Fish, a pinch hit 2-run homer by Donnie Murphy. Gabby, left field, that's deep, far back, and at the track he makes the catch. Infante will score 7-3. That was similar to the ball Stanton hit yesterday in that he got it off the end of the bat.
Yeah, you could hear that, and I think what players are finding out, once you get into that area, you've got to hit it just right. You go a little down the line directly over the Marlins bullpen, ball carries a little better, it's a little shorter. But that went off the end of the bat, I think, because it sounded that way, and it was out to a deeper part. I really think, Rich, as the season goes on, as we get into summer and the humidity kicks in as it does, it's going to affect inside as well. And I think the ball will be just fine, will carry fine.
John Buck has bounced into a double play and has singled. Logan Morrison is on deck. Corbin to the plate. And Buck swings and misses. Giancarlo stands at first. Patrick Corbin with a 7-3 lead in his major league debut. And he misses up.
Well, he's at 91 pitches now. You're right, and guarantee Kirk Gibson keeping a close eye on him.
One, two. It's a strike three called, and Buck, who's been working all afternoon with Jim Reynolds, turns and walks away. And here comes Logan Morrison. Let's take a look. And on Fox Tracks, the youngster caught the corner. It's a great pitch.
Yeah, it's perfect, and you hope, John Buck saying, make that both ways. Might not have said that at bat. He wants his pitcher to get that too.
His pitcher's got to throw it there first. This was a day where Mark Burley wasn't sharp. Dan Jennings has worked a scoreless inning in his major league debut. And here's Logan Morrison. And he takes a strike. It's 0-1. Morrison getting the day off. Morrison and Omar Infante have been the most consistent hitters. Morrison 1 for 4 yesterday. He had the big home run to tie the game Saturday night. Breaking ball check swing didn't go. Counts 1 ball and 1 strike. That's one of those pitches where you see it in the Fox Tracks. An umpire sometimes, rather than call it a strike, will figure it was a check swing, check on the appeal and not get a swing. And what you're left with is a break for the hitter. Marlins got a 2-run homer out of Donnie Murphy in this spot back in the 5th. Morrison sitting on a 2-1 pitch. Stanton's at first. 2 outs. Up.
Lomo doing what he does so well, making a pitcher work, getting in a fastball situation. You know the young pitcher with a 4-run lead is going to throw a 3-1 fastball. So you want to get one out over the plate, something you can drive, identify it, have a good swing.
Pitch. Morrison drives it into right field. That's a base hit. Stanton around second, on his way to third. Up with the ball is Upton. And so Morrison jumped on that 3-1 pitch. And the Marlins have their 3rd hit of the inning with Reyes coming up. Kirk Gibson is on the top step and he's on his way out. He's going to go to the bullpen.
There's that 3-1 fastball out over the plate. Lomo identified it, had a good rip, and chased Giancarlo over to third base. So the pinch hitters today are 2 for 2.
And Patrick Corbin's major league debut is in the books, and the youngster on his way to the dugout with a 7-3 lead. 2 on, 2 out. We're back after this. 2. He just made his major league debut and threw all of 99 pitches, 61 of them for strikes. And he was effective. He was poised. He got double play balls when he needed them. But he comes out here and turns it over to the veteran Craig Breslow, the 31-year-old.
Yeah, we saw Breslow yesterday have a 1-2-3 eighth inning. Did face Jose Reyes, got him to hit a fly ball to right field. Check that. That was Chris Coghlan was in the game at that time.
Reyes has singled, walked, and bounced out. You think back to that 4th inning when the Marlins made a couple of errors. The Diamondbacks were poised to score some runs, but instead of a couple of runs, it turned into a 5-run inning. And now you look over the scoreboard, it's 7-3, and you think if the Marlins had just been able to limit the damage.
Yeah, you can go back do that all the time. How about in the inning with less than 2 out back in the 1st inning when Corbin got the double play ball?
Trying to dig themselves out of a 7-0 hole.
You know, you look at the Marlins get 1 run there, it makes a difference.
Breslow's pitch is a strike. It's 2-1 to Reyes. Mark Burley went 5. 8 hits, 7 runs, 4 earned, a walk and 3 strikeouts, 2 2-run homers. Cody Ransom, Justin Upton, 2-1 coming to Reyes. Outside corner. And it's 2-2. Breslow, a graduate of Yale, and he has degrees in I can't even say it. Molecular biophysics and biochemistry.
You can't say it, you can't have a degree in it.
He and Ron Darling get along quite well. Breaking ball misses down low. First Bulldog to get to the big leagues since Ron Darling in 1983. Was named the smartest man in baseball by the Wall Street Journal. Let's see what he comes with. 3-2. Fastball, ground ball, backing up Ransom, long throw in time. Cody Ransom makes a nice play at third to get Jose Reyes, and the Fish are down 4 now. And they run into some tough customers. They won't see Lincecum. They will see Kane tomorrow night. Then on to San Diego. Gorgeous San Diego. Translated, it means great ballpark. And then Houston against the Astros. See Jose Altuve and J.D. Martinez and the bunch. Astros, very aggressive ball club. That's the road trip. The Marlins Trailing here 7-3. The offense has struggled. It has come to life over the last couple of innings. An uneven start from Mark Burley for the Fish. And so into the bullpen, Ozzie Guillen dips again. Ryan Webb will follow Dan Jennings. Dan Jennings making his major league debut and working a scoreless 6th inning.
One of the good numbers for Ryan Webb, you see just the one walk, and that actually was intentional. So he has been able to throw strikes. Opponents hitting just a little over 200 against the sinker baller. We mentioned it before too, Rich. I look forward to our first late night email Twitter Tuesday tomorrow night in San Francisco.
Paul Goldschmidt for the Diamondbacks in the 7th. And Webb, a breaking ball for a strike. If you're just joining us, the Diamondbacks jumped all over Mark Burley on a day where Kirk Gibson and Kevin Towers, the general manager, went to Double-A to get a starter. 22-year-old Patrick Corbin was outstanding. 5 2/3, 8 hits, 3 runs. Gibson and the Diamondbacks, who came into this series scuffling, are on the verge of taking 3 of 4 and then continuing their trip through the East, heading up to take on the Washington Nationals. The Marlins, who had their 6-game losing streak finally end with the comeback win on Saturday, lost yesterday, fell in an 8-0 hole yesterday and lost 8-4. A 7-0 hole in this one, and it's 7-3. And in the 7th inning, Goldschmidt fouls it off. The Diamondbacks doing this without their best weapon in the series. Jason Kubel was a late scratch. He was ill. Gerardo Parra has filled in. But a couple of 2-run homers. One from Justin Upton, just his 2nd of the year, and another from Cody Ransom. Because Kubel was sick, Ransom slid from the 6th spot up to the 5 spot. And he hit a 2-run homer in the 2nd inning on a 3-0 pitch from Mark Burley.
So all the moves that the Diamondbacks and Kirk Gibson has made, all the moves have worked out.
Goldschmidt, a 2-2, and he fouls it off. Goldschmidt, a guy that the Diamondbacks obviously are very high on and think has a very bright future in the big leagues.
Yeah, you pointed it out talking about him earlier. He's a guy who's just flat out hit wherever he's been.
You know, even last year, he chipped in 8 homers and drove in 26 in 48 games as the Diamondbacks raced to the National League West title. And Webb, this is outside.
He played a solid first base. He didn't commit an error when up with the big club.
He is from the Houston area. Here's the 3-2. And Webb, a leadoff walk here in the 7th. That'll bring up Ransom. Ransom is a guy that has really had to endure.
Yeah, you played professionally. This is his 15th year professionally, but when you add it all up, not a whole lot of time at the major league level.
No, you're right about that. His first season was '98 in Salem, Oregon. And he's got just over 3 years of major league service time. Originally drafted by San Francisco. He would spend parts of 4 years with the Giants, but all brief appearances. More time in Fresno, which at that point the Giants AAA outpost. Another throw over to first.
Not too far. How far south is?
Now you're probably what, a couple, 2.5, 3 hours. It depends if you stop at the In-Out Burger right off I-5. That would delay the
by
trip.
the way, you know how sometimes certain ads just jump out at you and they really fit. You're listening to a Dodger broadcast the other night.
Pitching change?
Pitching change because they were players coming in and out of the game, sponsored by In-N-Out Burger.
Very nice touch.
So you heard that one too?
I did.
I got hungry when I heard it.
I had thoughts of Charlie Steiner and Rick Monday eating a double-double. But Ransom, who got to Arizona for 12 games last year, we saw him in Philadelphia a bit in 2010. Here's the 0-1 from Webb. And Brian Webb misses. It's a ball and a strike. Well, in that National League West, the Dodgers certainly are on a magical ride. Matt Kemp, who had that walk-off homer on the weekend series against the Nationals. 16-6 are the Dodgers. Chopper down the third base line.
Well, we talked about the matchup. They had Chris Capuano, the veteran left-hander. He's 3-0, winning that game last night against Gio Gonzalez. Capuano's 3-0 with a 2.73 ERA. Of course, they can fire Kershaw at you, Billingsley. Good rotation.
There's your standings. Diamondbacks had 11 and 11. The Giants 2 over. Be good to see Buster Posey back in the Giants lineup. We'll see John Baker, former Marlin in San Diego. Cameron Maybin, who had just an enormous series against the Marlins in Miami last year as a Padre.
Mark Kotze with the Pods. Jeremy Hermida with the Padres.
One and two. Pace of this game has come to a screeching halt. And it's 2-2. Webb walked Goldschmidt, and this is Ransom. You've got Parra and then A.J. Pollock to follow. Out to left. Kearns is over. And he makes the catch.
We've had, Rich, kind of a theme show today. We've taken different turns and different themes. We've been talking about San Diego. Ryan Webb, formerly a Padre. Of course, coming over with Edward Mujica in the Cameron Maybin deal.
We've also talked about the dimensions of this ballpark. Don Baylor, the hitting coach, former MVP, former manager of the year.
Must be a saying, a guy like him made all ballparks small.
Well, here's what he had to say. Batting practice, first night, he was watching, he watched the Marlins hit, and he was watching, obviously, his hitters hit. And guys were talking about, hey, it's a big park, it plays big. Parra swings and misses. Baylor turned and said, when I was a rookie, and walked into Yankee Stadium for the first time. That was before they had remodeled it. And he said it was, 450 out?
460, I think, to left center.
To the monuments?
Yeah.
And just some ungodly number to straightaway center. And then he said, I looked down the left field line, it was 305 or whatever it was. And he said, I knew I needed to start pulling the ball in that ballpark.
Down the right field line at the old configuration of Yankee Stadium was 296 right down the line.
And Baylor said, you know what? You adjust. He was a strong man and a fast man. He was a very good base stealer in his time. 0-2 pitch coming. And a throw over to first. Goldschmidt is back. It's not only weather day with lots of kids, but we've seen a lot of business folk here. This ballpark is just 10 blocks from downtown Miami and the financial center. 31,006 the attendance here on a rainy, wet, stormy day. Counts 1-2.
Kids enjoying weather day here at the ballpark.
Many of the kids, I believe, have headed for the buses and headed back to school. Webb gets a strikeout. Parra goes down swinging. So Ryan has a couple of outs here in the 7th, and A.J. Pollock is coming up. Pollock with a couple of hits, a bunt single. And he singled and scored in the 4th.
You were talking, Rich, about Don Baylor, and you know, in his era, the on-base percentage wasn't as big of a deal. You didn't hear it spoken of as often. But a guy who not only had power, you mentioned the stolen bases, he had 285 stolen bases, 338 home runs, but was hit by so many pitches. He had an on-base percentage of close to 350 in his career. So he did a lot of things.
And Baylor was a guy, he was a terrific football player growing up, I believe, in Texas. He injured his shoulder playing football, and it was his throwing shoulder. And so that kind of made him a first baseman designated hitter because the shoulder gave him some issues during his playing career.
Over 2,100 hits. He was hit 267 times.
Big years with the Angels. Break in with Baltimore.
First came up to the big leagues with the Orioles. Now you talk about a big year. 36 home runs, 139 RBIs in 1979 for the Angels.
Oh, 0-2 to A.J. Pollock. You know what we need right now, Tommy? We need that dancing coffee cup that we saw in New York just to perk everybody up.
That'd be a good pick-me-up, yeah.
It's the biggest coffee cup we'd ever seen.
If we drank that thing, we'd be wired to San Francisco.
Just about got Goldschmidt.
Real close. Tag up a little high. He was able to get his hand on the bag.
0-2 to A.J. Pollock, who takes outside, whose middle name does not begin with J. I think it's Alan Lorenz.
Yeah, I believe he's a junior, thus the J.
See, I like the A.J. Pollock, sounds better than A.L. Pollock. Now, he was a terrific baseball player at Notre Dame. I mean, as a baseball player, can you call him a Golden Domer, or is that only for the football team? Because they have the Golden Dome, but
that might just be for the football team.
We'll ask Jeff Smarja when we see him, because he did both. Two, Runner on the move, swing and a miss. (7-3) Arizona. As the Arizona bullpen trying to hold on to this lead, the Marlins were down 7-0 after 4. Toyota Trend, 5 playoff appearances since '98, are the most in the National League West, ahead of the Dodgers, the Giants, the Padres, and the Rockies. Of course, it was Bob Brenly that led them to a world championship.
Yeah, up until that point, of course, the Marlins had been the quickest to win a World Series of an expansion club, but the Diamondbacks now hold that. They got there a little bit faster.
Diamondbacks had a total makeover in terms of uniform and color, and the Marlins have done that this year, obviously rebranding themselves to the Miami Marlins. The red-orange with the black, blue with a yellow highlight there.
Yeah, the Diamondbacks used to have some purple in their colors. Now they have what they like to refer to as Sedona red.
I think you can still see those throwback uniforms when they have the racing legends with the Diamondbacks. Has Mark Grace won a race yet?
I don't think so. Grace is right there with Teddy Roosevelt.
Bonifacio, Hanley Ramirez, and then Austin Kearns. It's Craig Breslow who finished the 6th inning by getting Jose Reyes to bounce out.
So the Diamondbacks have the racing legends. They have 4 involved in the race. They have Mark Grace. They have Randy Johnson. They have Luis Gonzalez. And who's the 4th? Schilling? Or is it Matt Williams? I think it's Matt Williams. I think some nights Matt actually races in the actual race.
I'd like to see Jay Bell in those old throwbacks. 2-2, swing and a miss. Bonifacio strikes out for the 2nd time in the ball game, and his struggles against lefties continue. Here comes Hanley now with Austin Kearns around the bend.
I think it's really poignant to use that word here in the 7th inning that Gibson didn't go to his bullpen for a right-hander with the switch inning Bonifacio, with Hanley coming up, and then Kearns. He's staying with the left-hander. And you know what? I like that. I mean, some managers will just look at numbers and say, well, we got right-handers coming up, we'll go the righty. We got lefties coming up, we'll go the lefty. He knows this ball club's been struggling against left-handed pitching, and he keeps Breslow in there.
Well, there are a lot of publications and baseball writers, and especially those that are deep into sabermetrics, that'll say, you know, a manager really doesn't make that much difference one way or the other. I think you'd be hard-pressed to make that argument looking at the Diamondbacks last year. Yeah, they had a better bullpen. They shaved a couple runs off their ERA. Their total ERA was down a run. But we saw from the A.J. Hinch Diamondbacks to the Kirk Gibson Diamondbacks, you could see it, just a transformation by the way they played the game. They played harder. It was a different brand of baseball. Here's the 2-1. Hanley gets jammed. And it's out by the mound. Oh, my goodness, and it drops. Ransom was ready to make the catch, and for some reason, Breslow poked his glove out there and got a piece of it.
Well, he may be the smartest man in baseball, but you got to make that play. Somebody's got to make that play. I mean, it looked like a pitcher can catch a fly ball. Look at, he's pointing to somebody else, looking at the catcher. He doesn't want it. Now all of a sudden he gets there and he gets in the way of his third baseman, Cody Ransom. He's calling for it. Ransom may have gotten in his way.
Who do you give the error to? Breslow touched it first.
I would give it to Breslow.
They're going to give Cody Ransom the error. That's a tough error. I mean, he went to catch the ball,
and the pitcher got in his way.
And the pitcher got in his way, and I think touched it first. I mean, at least from what I saw, that replay looked like he touched it first.
And to get back quickly to our conversation, obviously the Giants have their advanced scout here watching this series. So you know one of the things they'll include in their report.
Austin Kearns, left field and deep down the line. Gone! 2-run shot, 2-run game.
Finally, the Marlins taking advantage of a miscue. And what they'll include in the report is don't hang a little breaking ball middle in to Austin Kearns if you're a left-hander in particular.
The Diamondbacks have taken advantage of Marlin miscues throughout this series. Miami gets a break, and Kearns pays it off with his second home run of the season.
A little off-speed pitch from Breslow. Hard to tell if it was a breaking ball or a changeup, but it stayed up, and Austin Kearns stayed back on it.
Two two-run homers for the Marlins. Two two-run homers for the Diamondbacks. And here is Infante now with one out.
Starts to get a little interesting now.
There were 9 home runs hit in this ballpark coming in. We talked about at the outset of the telecast, the Fish hadn't been hitting homers in this ballpark or any other for that matter. But we've seen 4 leave the yard today. Bloomquist gets it on the fly. And so that's out number 2 here in the bottom of the 7th. If you're headed to Marlins Park this year, you might want to be part of a Marlins season ticket package. There's a variety to choose from. Mini plan options, and you'll save money off the box office prices and enjoy all the benefits of being a Marlins season ticket holder. 1-877-MARLINS or go to marlins.com. And this is Giancarlo Stanton, who swings and misses. Stanton struck out in the second, struck out in the fourth. He was out in front of a ball in the sixth, but he got it off the end of his bat, and it spun into right field for a base hit. He homered yesterday, and now the A-team is up in the Diamondbacks bullpen. Brian Shaw. David Hernandez, another one of the quality arms before they get to J.J. Putz.
Yeah, because of the way the games have gone in this series, we've not seen J.J. Putz. And the complete game of Saunders in the first game of the series.
Well, we said hello to J.J. Putz around the batting cage, but you're right. They haven't needed him. Breslow bounces one. And it's 2-2. Rides the fastball away, and he's got the count full now at 3-2. Gabby Sanchez waits. Shaw is ready, the 3-2 coming. And Stanton strikes out. Austin Kearns with a 2-run homer. The Marlins inching closer, but running out of time. In Miami today, trying to climb out of a 7-0 hole. It's now 7-5. Arizona in Miami today. It's the 8th. Let's check in with Craig Minervini.
Well, thank you, Rich. I'm with Sean Swerner, who met Jeff Conine in an interesting spot. Where was that a few years ago?
Well, that was actually in Hawaii, getting ready to do the Hawaii Ironman.
At the triathlon, and John became friends with Jeff Conine because of his story. 2-time cancer survivor. You wrote a book, too, describing not only that, but also all the things you've achieved athletically, which is climbing the top peak in all 7 continents.
Pretty much, yeah. I was diagnosed when I was 13 with Hodgkin's lymphoma. I was given 3 months to live. Then when I was 16, I was diagnosed with Askin sarcoma, given 14 days to live. I have one lung, was in a coma for a year of my life, read my last rites, and I became the first cancer survivor to climb Mount Everest and then do the 7 summits.
Wow. And you did all, it's an unbelievable story. You wrote a book about it.
It's called Keep Climbing. You can probably get it at Amazon.com for cheaper than the price of the book, just for shipping. And
cancerclimber.org is your website, cancerclimber.org. Of the 7 peaks that you climbed, which one was the toughest?
Well, the toughest, without a doubt, was Everest, but then Denali, also Mount McKinley, gave me a lot of problems. But I take a group up every year, up Kilimanjaro. I've been up there 6 or 7 times, and we're doing it again this July if anybody's interested.
What drove you to do something that challenging?
Yeah, it's a good question. Still not quite sure, but I wanted to give hope and inspiration to people touched by cancer.
Well, good for you, Sean. Thanks for your time, too, and it's a great story, and How'd Niner do, by the way, when you saw him up close and personal with the triathlon? Now, we know he did well, but you saw him.
Oh, he just zipped right by me on the bike. that was before he gained that weight.
Okay, I'm going to tell him you said that. Did you hear that, guys? Back to you.
Hey, he's beaten cancer twice. He can take Niner easily. Henry Blanco swing and a miss. Ryan Webb has struck out the last 3 that he's faced. The Marlins trying to make a late charge here at the Diamondbacks. Arizona got 2 runs in the second, a big 5-run fourth. And the Marlins on their heels. They had fallen behind 8-0 yesterday and lost 8-4. They've climbed within 2. Lyle Overbay, the veteran, who has made a couple of starts in the series.
Yeah, it's funny, Rich, how things go. The 5 runs by the Marlins today, so far, the most they've scored in any of the previous 3 games of this series. Actually, the last time the Marlins scored 5 runs in a game was against the Cubs, the last game of that homestand.
5 seems to be the tough mark for the Pittsburgh Pirates as well. Their offense has sputtered this year. Marlins as well, but not nearly as to the extent as the Pirates. Overbay, well, Lyle Overbay now in this series is 5 for 9. So Overbay is aboard. And it's the top of the order, and Willie Bloomquist, one of the big at-bats in this ball game, was in the 4th. Bloomquist with the bases loaded, facing Mark Burley. And Bloomquist had absolutely eaten Burley alive in his career. Close to 500 against him. Coming in with 39 career at-bats, and so much so that Burley literally pitched around him in the second with runners at second and third to get to the number 2 hitter. But since the bases were loaded, Burley couldn't do that, and Bloomquist got him again, lining a ball in the gap into right center for a 2-run double.
Well, the reason the bases were loaded was because of that error. Tough error charged Omar Infante on the sacrifice bunt of the pitcher, Corbin. Had that been successful and the out been recorded at first base would have been open.
Yeah, a lot of little things added up to some big blasts for the Diamondbacks early in this game. The 2-run homer by Cody Ransom. Burley had fallen behind 3-0 to Ransom. Now, Mark Burley doesn't fall behind many people 3-0. And Ransom hammered a 3-0 pitch off the facing of the wall above the Clevelander in left field for a 2-run homer. And then Justin Upton, a 2-run homer in the 4th. That followed the Bloomquist big hit.
Well, it's been an opportunistic series both ways. The Diamondbacks have taken advantage of a lot of opportunities. The Marlins haven't been able to.
Here's the 1-2. Bloomquist, little tapper off of Webb's glove. It eats him alive, and Bloomquist is aboard. And that's going to be the 3rd error of the ball game for the Marlins.
This is a play you just have to make sure you catch it, get one out. Doesn't matter if you go to second or go to first, but if you get one out, that's the 2nd out of the inning. Ball kind of hits on the side of the mound and gave Webb a tricky hop in the direction toward third base.
And the offensive issues the Marlins have had have spilled into the starting pitching. Josh Johnson got knocked around in yesterday's ball game. He gave up 5 runs in 5 1/3. Burley 7 runs, though 4 of them earned in just 5 innings here. And certainly the defense has been awful in this ball game. 3 errors. You got Steve Cishek in the bullpen.
Right now, the Marlins with 18 errors on the season. That ties them with the Rockies near the bottom. The Mets, the Giants of all teams, and the Padres. Giants and the Padres at the bottom of the list. Padres with 27 errors. Giants have 25.
Here's Roberts. And the Diamondbacks are set up with runners first and second. Roberts an 0 for 2 game. He had a sacrifice fly in the 4th. And Webb a breaking ball. Ground ball, Reyes, Infante, and Webb gets the double play. So Ryan Webb, 2 scoreless innings. Marlins down 2 going to the bottom of the 8th. Top, it's the bottom of the 8th in Miami. And now Kirk Gibson in a 2-run game is turning to the A team. He went right past Brian Shaw, who was up and ready. David Hernandez comes in. Hernandez was part of that bullpen last year that did a complete about face from 2010 and shaved over 2 runs off the bullpen ERA. Led all of baseball with 58 saves. The Marlins have scored 5 times in the last 3 innings.
Yeah, it's funny. You look at teams that get to the postseason. There's a common denominator. One of those is usually a real strong back end of a bullpen.
Sanchez, it's a high pop-up. Bloomquist calling for it, and Willie makes the catch.
And I think especially in today's game with the way pitching staffs and bullpens are managed. You see so many games with strong bullpens at the end because so many managers go that route.
Well, as you got Heath Bell up in the Marlins pen. That's obviously a necessity in a game where pitch counts are now closely monitored, and starters, when they get to the 8th or the 9th inning, that's headline stuff. Most guys coming up in the minor leagues, 6 innings, 95 to 100 pitches. John Buck with a swing and a miss.
Most minor league affiliates have kids that all they do is throw 1 inning toward the back end of the game. Tough to really learn how to pitch that way. It would be like a hitter getting a pinch hit 5 or 6 times a week. Can't learn to hit that way. You got to be in there all the time. Get a few more reps, a few more ABs, pitchers, a few more innings. Problem is they do it in college.
1-2 the count to Buck. And John fouls it back. Count stays at 1-2. The Marlins have Bell up, and whether they take the lead or not, you would expect to see him in the 9th.
Yeah, I think
just to get some work in,
absolutely.
at the very least.
Absolutely. I think that's the plan.
Especially coming off the last appearance, a blown save where he had not worked in 7 days.
Where he threw 46 pitches.
Breaking ball, Buck into right center. Coming on is Pollock. And good center fielder Pollock makes the catch. 2 outs. Greg Dobbs will come to the plate. Well, this has been a good spot in the Marlins lineup. Donnie Murphy, a 2-run pinch hit homer in the 5th. Logan Morrison, a pinch hit single in the 6th. Dobbs has had a solid start. He fouls it back and out of play.
Dobbs doing what we talked about the other night. Go ahead, Rich.
Well, I'm just going to point out that as the Marlins head west, you can follow Marlins television at FS Marlins on Twitter. Tommy will be tweeting pictures of cable cars climbing halfway to the stars. Tin Fish, our favorite lunch spot in San Diego.
There will definitely be some tweets from the Tin Fish.
And of course, tomorrow night is an email and Twitter Tuesday.
I may take a trip in San Francisco, go over to Chinatown.
Not far from.
Not too far, walking distance.
The hotel, absolutely. San Francisco, a great spot. One to Dobbs.
Yes, he did.
He went around on a breaking ball in the dirt.
Head over to Fisherman's Wharf. Good, quiet hold back on that breaking ball. It's a nice area called Washington Square also.
Go to Ghirardelli Square. Dobbs takes a high fastball out to left, and Parra is there to make the catch. David Hernandez comes in and settles things down for the Diamondbacks. 7-5 to the 9th in Miami. take 3 of 4. The Marlins scuffling. They have dropped 7 of 8. And their closer, Heath Bell, is in, trying to keep it at a 2-run game, trying to sharpen up.
Yeah, I think this is a very important outing for Heath Bell. You know, he had saves, 2 saves in the Cubs series. That was back home, and then went a week without pitching, had that disastrous outing in New York. So I think very important. And for him, too, he'd tell you the same thing. To get back in a rhythm. Made a few changes mechanically, very subtle.
Marlins bullpen has been good. Dan Jennings, his major league debut, a scoreless inning. Ryan Webb, a couple of scoreless innings. And here is Justin Upton. And Bell with a 94-mile-an-hour fastball for a strike. It's 0-1.
And a team certainly familiar with Heath Bell. And Heath having been with the Padres.
Upton into center field. That's a base hit. Bonifacio on one knee to get it. And a leadoff single by Upton. Here comes Paul Goldschmidt, and you've got Cody Ransom behind him. Goldschmidt has singled, has walked, 1 for 3. Check swing, and it stays behind home plate. It's a foul ball. J.J. Putz.
You realize, Rich, the Marlins will play another 4-game series against the Diamondbacks in August in Arizona. That's a long trip. Back-to-back 4-game series. Starts out in Denver, 4 games against the Rockies, 4 games against the Diamondbacks, and finishes up in Los Angeles. 3-game series there.
It's always odd how you, in the National League, will play some teams out of your division 8 times. And sometimes you even play a team 5 times. I believe the Marlins play the Pirates this year just 5 times.
The Marlins actually play the Boston Red Sox more times than they play the Pirates. And the Pirates are in their league. How does that happen?
Runner goes. Fastball out. Bucks throw way offline and into center field. That would be a stolen base for Upton.
Play Tampa Bay more times than they'll play the Pirates. Pretty good jump by Upton. I think a good throw gets there, but fortunately Bonifacio coming in hard. You're a center fielder and you see that situation unfold, you have to start moving toward the plate in case of a throw like that.
Goldschmidt takes outside.
You can see Bonifacio at the top of your screen. Here he comes. He was on the move. If he doesn't do that, Upton might take off for third.
Three and 2 now to Goldschmidt. That curveball that Bell is trying to throw for a strike, that was a problematic pitch in his outing against the Mets.
And that's a pitch he needs to get over. Or if he gets ahead of a hitter, he can use it and then expand the strike zone a little with that pitch.
And he misses outside with a fastball, so he's given up a single to Upton. He's walked Goldschmidt. Randy St. Clair and Ozzie Guillen. Doesn't get easier tomorrow. Matt Cain in San Francisco. Ricky Nolasco will go for the fish. And Randy St. Clair is on the horn And he wants another arm up in the bullpen. You know, Ozzie Guillen is watching this, Tommy, and saying to himself, essentially, look, this isn't just to get work. This is to hold it at 2 runs.
Well, and the other thing, you can't let Heath Bell have another inning where he throws 30 or so pitches, because if needed, you want to be able to use him tomorrow night or the next night.
Cody Ransom, a 2-run homer in the second on a 1-for-4 day. Upton and Goldschmidt. Goldschmidt runs well, the trail runner. It is absolutely pouring outside. It was rainy this morning, rainy this afternoon. 31,000 found shelter here on weather day.
Nice place to come, find shelter.
It hit him, and he's going to be awarded first base. It hit Ransom in the hand, that left hand, and Heath Bell has loaded the bases here. A single, a walk, and a hit batter. Steve Cishek is ready in the bullpen.
And again, command is the issue. Velocity's there, command of the fastball and command of that breaking ball. It's just not there yet for Heath Bell. I was just thinking about coming here. Nice cozy place to be when it's awful outside. Nice cool place to be in July or August when temperatures get a little hotter.
Here comes Randy St. Clair. This just a brief 4-game homestand for the Marlins, a 4-game series against the Diamondbacks. The Fish were in Washington, D.C., and New York, and in the throes of an offensive struggle, a struggle to score runs. They got great starting pitching on that road trip, but none of it was useful. Marlins lost every game on that trip. They were 0-5. They came back to take on the Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks were waiting. Joe Saunders shut out the Marlins on Friday night. Marlins had to come from behind to get the win Saturday. Arizona jumped to an 8-0 lead yesterday, cruised to an 8-4 win, a 7-0 lead today, and now a 7-5 lead. Nobody out in the ninth. Bags are loaded. Gerardo Parra. And he takes ball 1. Hey, there's Jim Joyce
saying no swing on Parra's part.
Now the best mustache in umpiring since Bill Hahn lost his. 1-0. That's outside.
And the unfortunate thing here is if the Diamondbacks add on, it takes away from a 7-5 ball game where if you bat in the bottom half and get a man on base, all of a sudden you have the tying run to the plate.
A strike and it's 2-1. So Bell trying to get out of it. Bases loaded, nobody out spot. Parra a surprise starter. And Jason Kubel was scratched with an illness right before game time. And he pulls a ground ball foul. Upton opened with a base hit, stole second. Goldschmidt walked. Ransom was hit in the left hand. Now Bell has gone to 2-2, and if he can get an out here, then he's got a shot at getting out of the inning with a ground ball. Breaking ball, there's a ground ball. Gabby, it's a fair ball, and he throws it away. He got the out at first. The run scores. And it's 8-5. That was going to be a tag play at the plate. It was not real clear as to whether Gabby stepped on the bag as he spun around, but the first base umpire, Mike Estabrook, made the call. Here's another look.
Yeah, it's a play that you'd like to go home first, but he kind of skipped over the top of the bag, I believe, with his foot. The throw would not have gotten the runner at the plate. See the foot? He skips over. He bobbles after he got that out. But with the speed at third base, Upton would have scored anyway.
Now A.J. Pollock, so there's no error on the play. And Parra gets an RBI. Pollock has a couple of hits, getting his first start of the series. Infield's in. Oh boy, that one right on the black. 2-0 coming. Drive to center. Bonifacio deep. This will chase home another run. Both runners are on the move. Goldschmidt scores. Ransom moves to third. And the Diamondbacks have 2 runs against Heath Bell. It's 9-5.
Well, when the Diamondbacks have needed a sac bunt, they've been able to lay it down. When they've needed a sac fly, they've been able to get the job done, get it deep enough.
Henry Blanco now. Well, Blanco's hitting here in an inning in which the Diamondbacks have 1 hit and have scored 2 runs.
That's a better breaking ball. That locks up a lot of right-handed hitters.
Ball and 2 strikes. Breaking ball misses in.
That one kind of backed up a little bit.
And Tommy, one of the great things about this ballpark is the view from here to downtown. But it's raining so hard right now that you can see about a block out the windows. It's cats and dogs. Three-two. Heath Bell in the 9th. This was a Mark Burley start, and it didn't go well. 7 runs, 4 earned. To left, Kearns. And the Marlins are down 4, going to the bottom of the 9th on a rainy day in Miami. brought to you by AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network. AT&T, rethink possible. And by Checkers, feast on. The weather outside is not pretty. And for the Marlins, this homestand, this 4-game series against the Diamondbacks has not been pretty. Arizona with a chance to take 3 of 4 if they can get the final 3 outs. And we finally get a chance to see J.J. Putz.
Yeah, it's his first appearance in this series.
One of the good guys in the game.
Yeah, he is. J.J. Putz with a good live fastball, hard slider, short breaking slider. Those are his 2 main pitches. But his out pitch, that's splitter.
Marlins have the top of the order: Reyes, Bonifacio, and Ramirez. And Putz misses down low. The big hits for the Marlins: Austin Kearns, a 2-run homer; Donnie Murphy, a 2-run homer. And a strike from the former Michigan Wolverine, who last year was 45 of 49 in saves. Pitched for Ozzie Guillen in 2010. Was the 8th inning guy for the White Sox. Reyes hammers it in the gap, left center, long run for Pollock. He'll catch up to it, but Reyes has got himself a double.
A good sign today for Jose Reyes. A couple of base hits, singled sharply in the 5th inning, batting right-handed, and then stays on this ball and drives it in that left center field gap there. So good sign. Jose with a couple good swings today.
Now Bonifacio, who is 1 for 4. Hanley Ramirez on deck. Then you've got Kearns, who got the start. The Marlins have already used Logan Morrison as a pinch hitter. They've used Greg Dobbs as a pinch hitter. And, of course, Murphy had the 2-run homer. Morrison had a pinch hit single. Oh and 1. And Bonifacio, for the first time, can flip around and hit left-handed. His on-base percentage from this side of the plate is over 400. His on-base percentage from the other side of the plate is down close to 200. Two and 1. Puts an all-star in Seattle. And, of course, he was a big part of that much improved Arizona bullpen last year. Little tapper right back to the mound. And there's an out here in the 9th. Marlins Live after the game. Brought to you by Checkers. Craig Minervini and Jeff Conine will put a bow tie on this one. Home run bonanza, the ball flying out just like at Niners Day. Dan Jennings making his Major League debut. And a West Coast road trip that starts in San Francisco with a Ricky Nolasco, Matt Cain matchup tomorrow night. On to San Diego, and then on the way home, the Marlins stop in Houston for 3. Hanley doubled in the first, has walked, struck out, reached on an error. Boy, it was when this ball game started, you had Patrick Corbin, who was looking pretty good, and Mark Burley, who normally works quickly, and you're thinking to yourself, it's getaway day. Burley's averaging around 2.5 a start,
He had
2.5 hours.
He had a 1-2-3 first inning. It just goes to show when you think you start to figure this game out, you don't have it figured out.
Putz gets a visit from Henry Blanco. And now the pitching coach, Charles Nagy, and the Arizona trainer, and for good measure, the home plate umpire, Jim Reynolds, out. They want to obviously check to see if Putz is okay. The umpire's out there just to make sure no strategy is involved, because if anyone utters a word of, hey, keep your left shoulder closed a little longer, or throw strike, start this guy out with a fastball, that's charged as a trip to the mound.
So if no strategy is discussed, then it's not a trip to the mound.
Unless the catcher can distract the umpire in a conversation.
And they may have just gone out there to say, let's stall things a little bit. It's pouring outside.
Flights
a little tough to load the plane right now. Their flight to Washington.
Flights out of Miami are delayed.
Yeah, so take your time.
2-1 to Hanley Ramirez. A strike. When things go bad, and they've gone that way for the Marlins, if they lose this game, they will have lost 8 of 9. In the major leagues, you look for a veteran, you look for guys to lean on, be it a starting pitcher, a closer. Hanley, one-hopped, Goldschmidt racing to the bag, and he has to dive to get Hanley. The Diamondbacks in this series have had their first baseman way off the line against right-handed hitters. And Goldschmidt not only had to make the sprawling stop, but then hustle to the bag.
Well, he makes a great play. Look how far off the line he is. He knocks it down, and that's why he didn't make any errors last year in over 40 games at first base. You're a very good fielder. Good reactions. Good job there by Goldschmidt.
Earlier this week, Ken Rosenthal had a good column on FoxSports.com talking about the Marlins and the fact that 2 of their bats in the middle of the lineup are young bats, Logan Morrison and Giancarlo Stanton. But there's some veterans on this team. People say it's a young team, but you look at Hanley Ramirez, Jose Reyes, Mark Burley now, Josh Johnson. That whole rotation that was part of the young team in 2006. Old enough to be veterans. Anibal Sanchez, Ricky Nolasky. You got Zambrano in the rotation. And I know that Showtime is following the Marlins around and has an all-access pass. It will be fascinating if they have an all-access pass to the Marlins clubhouse after this game. Here's the 2-0 pitch. Because you get the sense that it's about time, and Ozzie Guillen has preached patience. Kearns takes up, but on a day where the Marlins have made 3 errors, where they had trouble with situational hitting early in the ball game, coming on the heels of the 0-5 road trip. The 3-1 pitch. It's a strike and it's 3-2.
Yeah, I think not that you can accept it ever, but the lack of hitting, that happens. You go through spurts like that, but the sloppy play and the poor play, as a manager or as anybody, as a fan, you don't have to accept that.
3-2 coming. That is strike 3 called, and that is how this game ends and this 4-game series ends, with J.J. Putz striking out Austin Kearns. For Ozzie Guillen and the Marlins, It's going to be a long flight to San Francisco. And all of a sudden, a Diamondback team that came into Friday night, came into this 4-game series scuffling. They had dropped 7 of 9. They take 3 of 4 to kick off their East Coast tour. They head to Washington next. 9-5 the final here. The Diamondbacks beat the Marlins. Fish are at 8 and 14, and the Diamondbacks now at 11 and 12.